To present the award for Best Edited One-Hour Series for Commercial Television, please welcome the editor of 6 of Norman Jewison's films, including Fiddler on the Roof, Anthony Gibbs, ACE.
Thank you, thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here this evening on this time when we're honoring Norman. And it was my great good fortune to be asked by him to do Fiddler on the Roof. That was nearly 40 years ago. We were both teenagers at the time. Norman is a good editor. He gives you, I would say on an average, I used to have 2,000 or 3,000 feet of dailies a day, all the cover you wanted, and you could approach any scene of his and in any way you liked, because it would all cut. And it was a great pleasure to be able to do that. And later when we came to fine cutting, then one could do all sorts of things, and I never had to worry about whether you were making a good or a bad cut. And also, Norman never painted himself into a corner. I never had one of those notes one used to get via the script girl saying, sorry about this, had a bit of trouble with the set, and I had to do a direct reverse to get up, I'm sorry about that. Nowadays, of course, they're trying to get into that corner as quick as they can and seem to spend the rest of the movie in it. No names. But there was just one minor problem with Norman, which didn't affect me too much, but it affected the guys on the floor. He was a bit grouchy to start with at the beginning of the day, very slow to get up to speed. And when we were on Rollerball, we had rented the Olympic basketball stadium complete, and John Box, our production designer, made it into a rollerball arena, and we used the offices and the dressing rooms as offices and dressing rooms, and I had my cutting rooms there. So I was pretty close to the shoot throughout the time we were in Munich. For about 80% of the movie was shot in this stadium. And occasionally in the mornings, I'd get a call from the camera department saying, Tone, can you come down and talk to the governor, because he's a bit grouchy this morning. And so I used to go down there and chat him up for a bit. But with or without me, he was up to speed by mid-morning. And by the end of the day, he was in overdrive. And when we finally finished at 6 o'clock, yes, 6 o'clock in those days we finished, we had a life. We had a life in the evenings. I remember going out with a gang in Jerusalem and seeing The Godfather and having supper afterwards, and those dancers on Jesus Christ Superstar. Those kids were dancing in the desert in 120-degree heat, and then all they wanted to do in the evening was go out and dance again. And we did. So at the end of the day, the only way one could stop Norman was the prop man used to bring him a scotch on the wrap shot and get him to coast down to normal speed again. But they were good days. They were really good days. But you didn't come here to hear about those. You came to hear about the nominees for the Best Edited One-Hour Series for Commercial Television in 2007. And here they are.
Chuck, pilot, Norman Buckley, ACE. Damages, pilot, Malcolm Jameson. Law and Order, SVU, paternity, Karen Stern, ACE.
And the Eddie goes to Norman Buckley, ACE, for Chuck, pilot.
diamond. I wanna go. I'm extremely nervous, so I wrote down my comments. I'm very gratified to be standing here. I appreciate the award so much from the members of ACE. But what I most appreciate is that it gives me the opportunity to publicly thank so many people, which I'll try to do very quickly. To Josh Schwartz, who has allowed me to collaborate with him for the last 5 years on this and other shows. Also to his co-creator on Chuck, Chris Fedak. McGee, who directed Chuck and who has redirected my career for the past 5 years. To the entire cast and crew for giving us such great material to work with. To a great post-production staff, co-producer Ben Cundy, associate producer Rick Hubert, and post-supervisor Chris Skull. Most specifically, I want to thank Matt Barber, who's here tonight. He assisted me on this pilot, and he's now an editor on the series himself. And Matt, as we both know, your fingerprints are all over this pilot, and I share this award with you totally. I think we did it together, and I enjoyed every minute of working with you on it. And I enjoyed your wife, BJ, bringing us dinner on those 18-hour days. And all I can say is thank you so much. Also, I just want to take this opportunity to thank some of my other colleagues who have been such an inspiration to me over the last few years. Mary Jo Markey, Nancy Richardson, Tanya Riegel, Susan Godfrey, Matt Ramsey, Jeff Granzo, Tim Good, Jeff McAvoy, Brian Cates, Alan Heim, Carol Littleton. So these people, I may never have another chance to thank them for all that they've given me, and so I'm taking this one. And to my agents, Frank Balkin, Bill Douglas, Jay Gilbert, Gil Harari, you guys have been great, but also to my former agents, Heather Griffith and Debbie Hausler, who are always there for me and to whom I owe a great deal as well. And then there's my mom, who I flew out here just on the off chance I might win tonight. She's encouraged me in so many ways, and I can remember when I was majoring in history at the University of Texas at Arlington, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and I had lunch with her one day, and she said, well, if you could just do anything, what would you do? And I said, well, I'd go to California, and I'd become a filmmaker. And she said, well, then you should do that. And I so appreciate the fact that she gave me that courage. And finally, to my partner, David Whaley, who offers me such great companionship, encouragement, and kindness. You make everything worthwhile, and it's really great to come home at the end of the day and to find you after a very hard 18 hours. So thank you very, very much. I'm really grateful.